You lose the bushings, you're replacing your whole front end. It's expensive.
You feel comfortable because it's a bunch of old gray hairs there. Problem is, it's Friday.
Which is so odd to me because I've used Apple since I was, in
Yeah.
like 8th grade.
I used it until like probably 5 years ago, and now I don't remember. It's like
Tie-dyed
just a
shirt.
dummy now.
I'm fairly tech savvy,
I think you probably are smarter than me. So.
but to put me on an Android, and I can't find anything.
He loves rock and roll.
Well, I'm like double tapping, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's not what it does.
I told Tina contacted, who was the superintendent?
Forgot these.
Small guy,
Oh, Terry.
Terry. Yeah. He's wanted to be an intern for a while. They're looking for interns. Can't find them.
Is there a printed agenda out somewhere?
Doesn't list her screen.
He's probably waiting on me to go ahead and get this thing started. We ready to go?
I do.
What?
I don't have to have it.
That's it.
All right, I'd like to call the Springfield Local Schools Board of Education meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Mr. Petrie,
Here.
Mrs. Frola,
Here.
Mr. Hofer,
Here.
Mr. Ray,
Here.
Ms. Terry.
Here.
Item 3, Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Petrie, before we go on, there is one additional item on the agenda that you guys did not see ahead of time. It's item number 9.14, and it's the resignation of a long-term sub.
I'm sorry,
Resignation of a long-term sub.
Is it here?
what was he subbing in?
Technology at the junior high, I believe.
Is it on our automatic?
So I need to refresh this now?
Yeah, it's on the agenda,
saw it on
9.14.
Somewhere.
Okay, item 4, presentations. Mrs. Ganser.
Turn this on. Okay, I think it's working. Good evening and welcome to Springfield. We're glad you're here tonight. What we'd like to do tonight is just give you a brief update on the changes in our elementary literacy plan for our state and our district. Let me start with the why. In January of 2020, the ODE published Ohio's plan to raise literacy. And you know, many times in education, there are changes that come down from the ODE that don't make sense to us, but this one really does. For years, our data with our instructional approaches that we were using told us that our students were proficient readers, but our standardized scores would dispute that. So the research that the ODE has done on the science of reading has led to this new literacy plan. We're lucky enough to have an amazing team at the Summit County ESC who's really helping us through this process. And at this time, I'm going to go ahead and turn the mic over to two of our reading specialists, Dina Screamo and Wendy Bluey. And they have been spending countless hours of their own professional development time learning about these changes. And they're going to explain to you where we are in this process.
Good evening. Ohio's vision is for all learners to acquire the knowledge and skills to become proficient readers. To increase learners' language and literacy development, the department is urging districts and schools to use evidence-based systems along with high-quality instruction and high-quality instructional materials. One way Ohio plans to achieve this goal is using the simple view of reading chart to drive all literacy content, conversation, development, and organization of resources necessary to support the state's comprehensive plan. You may refer to your copy of the chart as I explain further. I think all of you have it. The simple view of reading is the word recognition times language comprehension equals reading comprehension. And I have some friends that have joined us this evening, and the humor is not lost on me that we're using a math equation to explain reading. And everybody who knows me well knows exactly how I feel about math, and that's why I'm the reading teacher. So the simple view of reading is that word recognition times language comprehension equals reading comprehension. Word recognition is the ability to transform print into spoken language. Students that are being taught evidence-based decoding strategies will have a higher success rate of lifting the words off the page. Language comprehension is the ability to understand spoken language. Students that have experience with explicitly planned read-alouds within shared reading lessons that discuss vocabulary in addition to intentional teacher modeling are given a strong foundation in understanding our language. Unfortunately, only having a strength in one domain of the equation will never be enough to compensate for a weakness in the other domain, which will affect the main goal of understanding what has been read. Both areas of the simple view of reading are necessary to become a strong, proficient, fluent reader. We are excited to share with you the beginning of Spring Hill's journey.
This year, Spring Hill's focus is on the blue rectangle and word recognition. In our pre-K2 classrooms for the second year, teachers are using a Hegarty phonological awareness program to help students practice skills such as rhyming, blending, and segmenting words. This is all about how we hear and manipulate sounds, and there is no print involved. Phonological awareness helps to set the scene for children to develop segmenting and blending skills needed for reading and spelling the written word. In addition, our classroom teachers are also receiving ongoing training and are implementing the Foundations program, which teaches the foundational skills of reading and writing. Although it looks different at each grade level, children in kindergarten are learning to break the alphabetic code. First graders are using the alphabet to decode and read words, and second graders are learning about where words come from. While our literacy team follows the scope and sequence of both programs to teach our children that need more reading support, we are also being trained in LETTERS, which stands for Language Essentials for Teachers of Reading and Spelling. We are close to completing the first year of training, which focuses, like our school, on the word recognition strand of the simple view of reading. The training is intense and not for the faint of heart, as we have individually clocked close to 90 hours of coursework this year on LETTERS alone. LETTERS is not a program, but the why behind what we do and the actions we take each day to help our children become better readers. Our team is looking forward to next year when we focus on the comprehension strand and how the skills in each strand work together. Thank you.
So just to wrap that up, over the next couple of years, there will be many changes, and all of them will stem from our new research and incredible amounts of data, both educational and medical data, in regards to dyslexia, with an attempt to fill those reading gaps that we see in so many of our early readers.
Very good. Any questions for the ladies?
Has there been a swing back to the old, there was a doctor in the 1930s and a nurse that, Gilliam tool for reading and sounding? Is it, yeah?
Yes.
Are we starting to head back to that
Yes,
again?
Yes, and that is that left side that you see there. Yes, the decoding, breaking the code to reading, yes.
Must have been the one I was left out of.
Well, we don't want to leave anyone out of it, so
No.
we have to learn so that we can help them.
Yeah. Good, thank you.
Very nice. Nice job,
Thank you,
ladies.
ladies. Item 5, approval of minutes. It is recommended that the board approve the minutes of the organizational and regular meetings of January 11th, 2022, and the special meetings of January 18th and 25, 2022, Exhibits 1, 1A, 1B, and 1C.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second that.
Ms. Terry?
Yes.
Mr. Ray?
Yes.
Mr. Hofer?
Yes.
Mrs. Frola?
Yes.
Yes, motion passes. Item 6, citizens' comment on agenda items. Citizens' comments on agenda items are welcome at this time. Participants shall be limited to 5-minute durations.
Is it okay if I talk to you? I talk pretty loud. I have a question. You guys are asking for a tax increase. I live in Mill Run Estates. My taxes alone went up $1,100 for this year. So when you're asking for more money, I'm certainly not in the $100,000 range. What do you intend on spending that money on? Because I currently, there's 3 generations in my house. One of them is in the high school. I have seen bathrooms closed down at lunch hours. And when you have a female and you're saying, you can't go to the bathroom, and there are things that need to be taken care of, it is not a good situation. I graduated from Springfield with Mr. Ray.
Yeah.
My daughter graduated from Springfield, so this is a 3rd generation that's going to Springfield. And the school has changed not for the better. So I would just like to know what my tax dollars will be spent on. I understand you haven't had a new levy for 20 years, but this did not occur just in the last couple of years.
Yeah, I can respond to that. We haven't had new dollars in 22 years. What we're trying to do, I can't promise what services will come back. What we're trying to do is remain solvent as a district. If we don't pass a levy and don't make the cuts that we're talking about tonight, the state will come in and take over our schools. I don't think anybody wants to see that. Hopefully, with a multi-approach of decreasing spending, which the school is doing, after tonight's proposed cuts, that'll be over $1 million of cuts in spending. Overall, it's $4 million of cut that the school has made in the past year or so. But that has to be coupled with new money, or the school's just simply not going to survive very long.
I come out of the district, I lived in Vegas for 23 years. We were a state-run school district in Las Vegas. Felt that maybe she'd be behind when she got here, not a problem at all. So I am not totally against state-run schools at this time in my life. And today, when it came time to sign up for sophomore classes, she was number 24 in her class, and she was steered away from the college CCP courses, and said, oh, we're worried we're not going to have enough periods, and we're doing away with 1 period. So instead of encouraging our students to progress and get education and be prepared, it was a discouragement.
I'm sorry, could you repeat what you said about registration?
The CCP, they're registering for next year now. She's a freshman. She was registering for a CCP course. She is number 24 out of her class. And she was discouraged because we said we're going down to 6 periods and we don't know if we can fit in those classes. You may be short. Not enough time scheduled.
And that's part of the problem that we have due to all of the reductions that we've had here because of the lack of money. We have lost a lot of electives. Our kids simply deserve better than what we're able to afford to give them right now. That's why we're asking for another levy. I shouldn't say another levy, a new levy. This will be the first one that has been passed in 22 years. If you think of inflation and what a gallon of gas or a gallon of milk cost 22 years ago compared to today, we're trying to live on a budget that is 22 years old.
You're going to have a tough time. I come from a development that is 98 homes total between the villas and us. And the majority of them, believe it or not, are one of the young ones. So you're asking them to step up and pay these extra taxes, and we understand better school systems mean more money for our homes. But at the same time, we've got to be able to show that we have a better school system. And our test scores are not showing it. When these kids are taking their tests, we're not seeing that we're a Hudson, we're a Jackson. We're not seeing test scores for that. And it didn't happen in just 5 years' time.
As far as the restrooms being closed, and Mrs. Warner could attest to this, the reason the restrooms are closed is because students going in there doing damage to the restrooms. That's why they're closed.
You
Not
know-
all of them are closed, some of them are closed.
And they're open during lunch,
Okay.
but it is the family restroom that's open at lunch. It's not the 15 stalls at one time.
Very good.
When you say family restrooms, this is boys and girls together.
It is a one-room bathroom that is available anytime for any student.
For how many students are at lunch at one time?
About 210. There's never a line.
So, and it's just, you know, we have these bathrooms. I came from Springfield. I'm sorry, teachers, but you guys had lunch duty and you stood outside that, and there was some guys, the women stood out there and they knew if we were vandalizing. And boy, back then they were looking for smokers, and boy, if you got busted, you were in trouble. And I'm sorry, I don't agree with bathrooms around the lunch area being closed. And then if you have to go to the bathroom, you know, there's a particular teacher, you take nothing with you. As a female student, do you want to take your personal hygiene stuff and wave it around in the air and take it into the bathroom? Kind of a personal thing.
No, they can take their belongings. They can't take a backpack in there. But
She won't let them take anything, their purses or anything. Therefore,
if you want to call me tomorrow, we can talk about the specifics.
so, her mother's gonna call the school tomorrow and she's, yeah. So we're
I
concerned.
appreciate your comments, and we'll think about what you've had to say, and your 5 minutes have expired, so we're going to move on.
Thank you.
Item 7, payment of bills. It is recommended that the board approve payment of bills for the month of January pending audit, Exhibit 2.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Petrie,
Yes.
Mrs. Frola,
Yes.
Ms. Terry,
Yes.
Mr. Hofer,
No.
Mr. Ray,
Yes.
Motion passes. Dave, I think we skipped over something you wanted to say there, and I apologize for that. Is something you need to bring up, or?
Yeah, there's, in there, all the bills are listed monthly, and this will be the first time I've ever voted no. But there was an individual that was paid, and I didn't agree with it. I still don't agree with it, and that's what I'm saying.
Okay. Well, an individual situation we can discuss in executive session when we get there.
That's where it will be discussed.
Okay. Acceptance of financial reports, item 8. It is recommended that the board accept the financial reports from the treasurer for January 2022, Exhibit 3, 4, and 5.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Petrie,
Yes?
Mrs. Frola,
Yes.
Mr. Hofer,
Yes.
Mr. Ray,
Yes.
Ms. Terry,
Yes.
Motion passes. Item 9, personnel. It is recommended that the board approve the following personnel items. 9.1, family medical leave, approve intermittent FMLA for certified staff member Amy Owens Hartman as needed beginning October 25th, 2021. 9.2, employment, reassign classified employee Amy Ternosky as a 2-hour educational assistant at Spring Hill Elementary per the negotiated agreement pending proper licensure effective January 12th, 2022. This is in addition to her everyday reading position. 9.3, employment, employee Rachel Christian as a 3.75-hour everyday reading teaching assistant at Spring Hill Elementary per the negotiated agreement pending proper licensure effective January 13th, 2022. 9.4, employment. Employ Tamara Takix as a 4.5-hour bus driver on Route 66 per the negotiated agreement pending proper licensure effective January 21st, 2022. 9.5, employment. Employ Tiffany Cole as a 2-hour educational assistant at Springfield High School and Junior High per the negotiated agreement pending proper licensure effective February 8th, 2022. 9.6, employment. Employ the following as classified substitute per the negotiated agreement pending proper licensure effective first day assigned, Mary Kelsey. 9.7, non-sport supplemental contract, band booster funded. Approve the following non-sport supplemental contract for the 2021-22 school year per the negotiated agreement pending proper licensure and is paid once funds are received in full from the band boosters. Jack Elliott, percussion instructor, 14%. 9.8, athletic supplemental contracts. Approve the following athletic supplemental contracts for the 2021-22 school year per the negotiated agreement pending proper licensure. Jody Burgess, varsity track head coach, 13%. Kevin Nash, varsity track assistant coach, 11%. Aaron Skeggs, junior high track coach, 5%. Tim Burns, junior high track coach, 5%. Shane Robinson, varsity baseball head coach, 13%. Tim Benner, varsity baseball assistant coach, 11%. Kyle McLean, junior varsity baseball coach, red, 11%. Shane Curry, varsity head softball coach, 11%. Paula Murphy, varsity assistant softball coach, 9%. Kendra Cox, junior varsity softball coach, red, 9%. Jason Holmes, junior varsity softball coach, red, 6%. 9.9, volunteer coach. Approve the following as a volunteer coach for the 2021-22 school year pending proper licensure. Nick Guerra, baseball coach. 9.10, tenure. Approve the tenure for certified employee Beth Burgess, who was initially licensed prior to January 1st, 2011, holds a professional license, has appropriate credit hours, and has at least 3 years' experience in the district, and is therefore recommended for a continuing contract effective February 7th, 2022, pending proper documentation to meet requirements. 9.11, reduction in force, classified positions. Approve a reduction of the following classified positions due to financial reasons effective the 2022-23 school year. Bus Route 61, route is currently open and no driver is currently assigned to this position. Bus Route 65, Bus Route 66, 1 preschool teaching assistant, 50%, 1 preschool teaching assistant reduced 1 day per week. 9.12, release of employment classified staff. Approve a release from employment with Springfield Local Schools due to a reduction in force for the financial reasons. The following classified employees effective 2022-23 school year. Tamara Takix, Jeffrey Allen. 9.13, reduction in force, certified staff. Approve the reduction of the following certified positions due to financial reasons effective 2022-23 school year. Elementary special education teacher, 1 FTE. Preschool special education teacher, 0.5 FTE. Art teacher, 1 FTE. Music teacher, 1 FTE. Elementary K-6 teachers, 7 FTE. Junior high social studies teacher, 1 FTE, and gifted teacher, 1 FTE. 9.14, resignation. Accept the resignation of long-term substitute teacher James Branchick, effective the end of the workday, February 25th, 2022. Resignation resolution. It is recommended that the board approve the irrevocable resignation.
That's number 10.
I'm sorry.
We're gonna vote.
Yeah, we're going to vote. I'm sorry.
Mr. Petrie,
Yes.
just for those watching, could you say what FTE stands for? Full-time employment? So they-
Yeah, FTE is full-time employment, so that's what the numbers came down to.
And all of these reductions are a part of our recovery plan.
And it should be noted, these are necessary for us to comply with the state law and putting forth a budget in the black, correct?
Correct. I'll discuss that in my presentation.
Okay.
Do we know what the, we don't have a list of the names yet, do
We
we?
do not, we thought we'd have the list of names for tonight, but there was a late continuing contract that came in that made that list inaccurate. And, we expect there are some more continuing contracts in the works, so we will have those in March though, for sure.
Motion.
We want to talk about this in executive session real fast. It won't be long,
Talk about what?
these reductions.
I think we have an executive at the end. You want,
It's just hard to vote on something when it's always the teachers. It doesn't seem like we've hit everyone in our district. This is now the fourth cut to our teachers, which directly impact our kids. Just kind of wondering when it's gonna start at different levels. I get that we have to make cuts due to our financial. It's kind of seemed like that's kind of where everybody is right now, but it's hard to sit there and keep taking from our kids without taking from the top. And having that conversation of what else can be cut before we keep taking it from the people we're supposed to be fighting the most for. That's my 2 cents.
Are we not gonna have the presentation from the, that's gonna basically validate that the report from a separate ODE that did a performance review of our district? We're pretty much in line with that performance review, and they did analyze administration and certified staff and classified staff and,
But did we?
huh?
Did we? Like, did we analyze our staff? Did we analyze our administration?
I wasn't here at the time, Miranda, but.
Either was I.
I would guess that we did.
As a parent, I was here, but as someone that's sitting up here, I wasn't.
Should
So I
this
guess.
be executive session?
What we asked.
Yeah, that should be discussed in exec, that's correct.
do we want to
You want it, it's,
table this and then act on it after?
I wouldn't recommend it.
I'm going into executive right now for a quick executive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to take very long.
yeah. Let's see.
Do we need a motion to go into exec?
Yeah, I'm thinking how I'm going to, where am I gonna put this? You know what, I'm gonna write it in Louisville. Before we vote on personnel, all right. I need a motion to go into exec.
I can't. What?
I need a motion for exec.
I'll make the motion to go on executive.
I'll second.
Mr. Petrie,
Yes?
Ms. Terry,
Yes?
Mrs. Frola,
Okay.
I'm missing here?
Ken,
Sorry.
and Larry.
No, he got me all
I
right.
already got
Oh.
3 for Terry. Mr. Ray?
Yes.
Petrie.
Dave.
Yep. Mr. Hofer?
Yes.
Time in is 6:30. We don't have to do a motion of timeouts when we come out, so. Okay.
Don't know.
We'll go down here too.
Need a motion on personnel. Let me get situated here in a second and I'll let you know. Okay, I'm ready.
On personnel, I'll make a motion.
To what?
I'll second it. Go ahead.
Mr. Petrie,
Yes.
Mrs. Frola,
Yes.
Mr. Ray,
Yes.
Ms. Terry,
Yes.
Mr. Hofer.
Yes.
Motion passed. Item 10, resignation resolution. It is recommended that the board approve the irrevocable resignation of Michelle Warner from the interim Springfield High School and Junior High principal contract effective July 31st, 2022, a copy of which is attached hereto and incorporated herein, contingent upon the board also approving a one-year RC 3319.02 employment contract with Michelle Warner for the 2022-23 contract term on February 15th, 2022. Exhibit 6.
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Terry,
Yes.
Mr. Ray,
Yes.
Mr. Hofer,
Yes.
Ms. Frola,
Yes.
Petrie.
Yes. Motion carried. Item 11, RC 3319.02, one-year employment contract resolution. It is recommended that the board approve the one-year RC 3319.02 employment contract with Michelle Warner for the 2022-23 contract term, a copy of which is attached hereto and incorporated herein. Exhibit 7.
So moved.
Second.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Mr. Petrie,
Yes.
Mrs. Frola,
Yes.
Ms. Terry,
Yes.
Mr. Hofer,
Yes.
Mr. Ray.
Yes.
Motion carried. Item 12, Ohio High School Athletic Association membership. It is recommended that the board approve a resolution for membership of Springfield High School and Junior High in the Ohio High School Athletic Association for the 2022-23 school year. Exhibit 8.
So moved.
Second.
Mrs. Frola,
Yes.
Mr. Hofer,
Yes.
Mr. Ray,
Yes.
Ms. Terry,
Yes.
Mr. Petrie.
Yes, motion passes. Item 13, resolution authorizing the transfer of funds from the construction fund to the general fund. It is recommended that the board approve a resolution authorizing the transfer of funds from the fund 010-7200-911-9001 construction 712 to fund 001-5100 general pursuant to section 5705.14B of the revised code, authorizing the treasurer to submit a petition to the Summit County Court of Common Pleas to approve such transfer in accordance with section 5705.14B, Exhibit 9.
So moved.
I'll second that.
Mr. Stoffer,
Yes.
just for the benefit of those, could you explain?
I'm gonna have Mr.
Oh, Mr.
Adams
okay.
explain.
This is the money left over from the construction account. Since it's such a large amount, the last time I attempted to do a transfer, my auditor would not allow it, okay? He told me to request from the Department of Taxation to authorize me to do it. That department said, we don't do that. Well, who does? The Court of Common Pleas. So what I did is I contacted our lawyer who drafted up a resolution, and we're going to submit it to the Court of Common Pleas before I even make the transfer. There may be a situation where the court says, no, you can't put it in the general fund, you might have to put it in the permanent improvement fund. If that's the case, you're going to see another resolution to approve that. But again, I want to emphasize, there will be no transfer until the courts say it's okay. This is very rare, obviously. We just want to make it right with the auditors. It's so rare that the auditors, again, thought I should go to the Department of Taxation, which was not correct. So, we will keep you posted on this.
Okay. But just for edification, the construction funds are remaining funds from
The construction of the 712 buildings,
712 building.
correct.
Okay, item 14, 5-year
No, I
forecast.
we didn't vote.
Oh,
Mr. Petrie?
yes.
Ms. Terry?
Yes.
Mrs. Frola?
Yes.
Mr. Hofer?
Yes.
Mr. Ray?
Yes.
Motion carried. 5-year forecast revision. It is recommended that the board approve a revised 5-year forecast, Exhibit 10.
So moved.
I'll second that.
Care to enlighten us, Mr. Adams?
Yeah, during my presentation, I'm gonna go over this forecast, what it shows, and the impact that the levy's gonna have on it, and I'll detail the impact that Esser's having on the forecast, and what you've already approved, the reductions, how this all plays out, and how tight we really are. When I say tight, this year, we're still, we're on the edge. So I'm gonna go through that. It's gonna be a presentation on the screen.
Okay, you can also go through expenditures, because I see an uptick in that one, in that line.
You'll see it after Esser goes away. You'll see a big uptick after Esser goes away.
Okay, that's because of Esser.
Correct. Yeah.
So would you like Chris to do his presentation now before you vote on this?
I can do that.
Yeah, I think it'd be better, a little
That's
more
fine.
transparent,
I think so,
yeah. Yeah, that answers the question then.
Yep.
Thank you.
I already printed it off.
You're efficient.
Oh, I had to study it.
I have this stupid mask on not because of COVID, it's because I've lost 2 teeth in the last week.
Ouch.
All right, before you.
Well, there's no way to see that on the screen.
Yeah, that'd be good. Here, if you would. You guys want one? No, we'll share. You good?
One more, Mary. Yeah, there you go. A little more. Except I can't see. Oh, wait a minute, I can't see.
Yeah, probably have to see this now.
Need a flashlight?
I don't need them.
Board, do we want to sit here or do we want to go up front?
I can see it on my iPad because I brought it up.
That's a good idea.
You know what, over here, can you get rid of this?
That'll work.
Okay. The 5-year forecast by law has to be given to the Ohio Department of Education, which puts it on their website, and then anybody that wants to go out and see it can see it in the state of Ohio. We're actually, this is gonna be the 3rd time we submit it, and it's because we have some oversight from the state, and there's been some changes. The biggest changes that's going on right now are in line 3.01. And you'll notice that right here, last year, we had $14,260. That's our personnel, that's our people, that's our teachers. And this year, you see it dropping all the way down to $11,786,000. That's because we got some ESSER funds, and what we did with those funds is we were able to keep most of our teachers, so it wouldn't impact our kids. Same with the benefits. When you hear about education, most of the money that is spent, because we don't produce a widget, we teach our children, is on personnel. 75% of all of our costs are personnel. That's what we do, we teach. Here's the number right now that we're hoping to land on at the end of the year. It's line, if you go to the forecast, it's line 10.01. $108,000. That doesn't, let's put it in perspective. The state wants us to have a 30-day cash reserve, okay? 30 days on a $25 million budget. You take $25 million, divide by 12, $2 million, over $2 million. They want us to have $2 million. The last time we had cash reserves of that much, if you look on the forecast, was a couple of years ago, but that was going down rapidly. They want to see it and they want us to keep it. So, the big thing right now is, if you look at this forecast, with the levy, and this is what's very important, this community will never see a more affordable levy than they're going to see now. They'll never see it again. We're talking, this young lady right here talked about, I know where you live, I drive by it. On a house in that development, you're probably talking, instead of 38 cents, less than a dollar a day, okay? But if the levy happens, where's my helper? I'm gonna drop it down a little bit. Here's the impact of the new levy. It's gonna generate $1,793,000. That's on line 13.02. The first year you're gonna get half, and then after that. With the reductions that we have put into place, plus the levy, we're looking at 5 years of stability. We're also looking at the possibility of looking at all of our programs with our new superintendent, and hopefully bring back programs that we want, that the community wants, that the board wants, that the teachers want. That's the goal. But sometimes you have to take a step back and take 2 steps forward. That's the hard reality that this district is facing right now, and it's very, very tough. Nobody wants to let go of programs. Nobody wants to lay off people. It's the hardest thing anybody could do, is be involved in that decision making. You stay up at night. You know these people. It impacts them, impacts their spouse, their children, their parents, their friends. It's not taken lightly. So the hope, and I'm going to address, you hear about people out in the community, you hear it, well, we're not managing our money that well. Let's put up the next slide, if you would. This one's startling. And I've said it in other meetings, and I'll say it again. These people right here, they're not waiting for us to get our act together. They're not. They're forging ahead. They're spending the money. The taxpayers are willing to give the money to the schools to maintain a strong community. We pay in school taxes 55 mils, right? Green pays, they're that outlier because they have a huge valuation base. But look at the normal, I call the schools kind of like Manchester. Look at how many mills they're paying versus what we're paying. Hudson's Hudson. But look at Modern. I live in Modern. There ain't no difference between a resident of Modern and a resident of Springfield. We're pretty much the same. We're dead on. Mean income, the whole bit. Look at Cuyahoga Falls. Look at Akron. So what's that tell you? These are numbers that are coming from the Summit County. It's telling you that we have to recognize if we don't step up to the plate, they're not going to wait for us. They're going to continue to go up. And what happens when they continue to go up? Their property values increase dramatically. People say, well, I'm never going to leave my house. Yeah, you are. Yeah, you will. Unfortunately, my dad said that. I'm never leaving here. He left. The lucky ones die in the homes they're in. The reality is most of us, when we get to be 90 years old, we're gonna go somewhere. We may go with our kids or whatever. But the point I'm trying to make is, we've gone 22 years without a levy. We're the only school other than the two behind us that can do what we're doing, not to the benefit of our kids or our teachers. We're doing it to survive. We have to figure out a way to bring back Springfield to where it belongs. I'm not saying we're gonna go up to 85 mils. I'm saying we're asking 3.9 mils to have 5 years of stability. That's not that big of an ask, I don't think. So, and if you have any issues regarding any financials, call my office. I'd be more than glad to talk to you. I've talked to a lot of people. So, does anybody on the board have any question on any line?
No, thanks for clarification.
I think what this shows is with the cuts we have and with the new levy that we're all hoping passes, we have some form of stability. With that, we can make some changes. Thanks. All right. We have a motion and a second.
Yep.
Ms. Terry?
Yes.
Mr. Ray?
Yes.
Mr. Hofer?
Yes.
Mrs. Frola?
Yes.
Mrs. Petrie?
Yes. Motion passes. Item 15, lease agreement, Young Athletic Fields. It is recommended that the board approve a lease agreement with the fields, with the Friends of Lakemore Waterworks Park, beginning March 1st, 2022 through March 1st, 2023, renewable for 2 years for the athletic fields at the Young School property located at 3258 Nidover Drive for the purpose of tournaments and other baseball-related events and activities. Exhibit 11.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Mr. Petrie?
Yes.
Ms. Terry?
Yes.
Mr. Ray?
Yes.
Mr. Hofer?
Yes.
Mrs. Frola?
Yes.
Motion carried. Item 16, letter of intent with OPSI 179. It is recommended that the board approve a letter of intent with OPSI 179 regarding a partial reduction in force of preschool teaching assistants for the 2022-23 school year, Exhibit 12.
So moved.
Second it.
Mrs. Frola?
Yes.
Ms. Terry?
Yes.
Mr. Petrie?
Yes.
Mr. Ray?
Yes.
Mr. Hofer?
Yes.
Motion carried. Item 17, donations. The family of Victoria Fields. Accept the donation of $1,000 from the family of Victoria Fields to the Springfield girls golf team.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Ray?
Yes.
Mrs. Frola?
Yes.
Ms. Terry?
Yes.
Mr. Hofer?
Yes.
Mr. Petrie?
Yes. We've had the treasurer's report, so Dustin, let's hear what the business manager has to say.
Thank you all. First of all, I'd like to extend my appreciation to our maintenance and custodial staff members who have dealt with a lot of winter weather over the last month here. I think we've gotten more snow in the last few weeks than we did last winter. And they've dealt with that very well, keeping the parking lots, sidewalks, and everything clean. So just like to extend my appreciation for that. That's been a lot of work on their parts. And second, I want to talk about part of the reductions that were identified in the financial recovery plan was state minimum busing and what that means. As you see, we reduced 3 routes as part of the financial recovery plan. That's in addition to one route that the document that I gave the board here, you'll see talks about some other alternatives to consider in transportation when reducing cost or rerouting. We actually rerouted since the beginning of the year, back in October, November-ish, and reduced a route at that point to try and make things as efficient as possible there. Also due to the staffing issues that we face with drivers there, that we eliminated that route at that time. And then this will be these 3 additional routes for next year to come to state minimum busing. And what that means is that according to Ohio Revised Code, we are required to provide transportation to students in grades K through 8 who live more than 2 miles from the school that they attend. And that would be state minimum busing is the common way to reference that, but we would be returning to only transporting students in grades K through 8 that live more than 2 miles from the school they attend. So that would eliminate busing for a number of students. I don't have the exact numbers of students that would be affected at this point, but that would be a lot of students that would have to rely on their own means to be transported to school there. As we know, this community, unfortunately, we don't have, sidewalks every place, or, so, that's going to most likely transfer into a lot of parents driving their kids to school and everything. This is, not a decision that we make lightly at all, but when we looking at making cuts across the district, this is one that is, possible that, the state considers this level of transportation the minimum that is required by law, and as we are making cuts in curriculum to minimums that are required, we're also looking here in transportation and cutting those down to the minimums required there, unfortunately. So just wanted to lay that out there, we use that term, and here we mostly understand what that means, but to give the community an understanding of what that means. Most already do. We've been there before. We've unfortunately had to implement state minimum busing in the past, so many are familiar with that, but for those who are not, that's what it will entail. And this, again, will be effective at this point for the 22-23 school year. Any questions? Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Item 20, Superintendent's Report.
First off, I'd like to thank Mrs. Ganser and her team tonight for hosting us and doing such a great presentation. We appreciate being here, and thank you very much. Secondly, I want to talk about our masking mandate that was in place after we came back from Christmas break. We went to optional masking about midweek, that first week in February. Hopefully the COVID numbers stay low and we're able to do that the rest of the year. They're looking great all over the state of Ohio right now, so we hope that that continues. Third thing I want to talk about is the board is in the process of doing a superintendent search, and that is moving very, very rapidly, and there's a possibility that the board will act on a new superintendent's contract in the near future. So we are using the Summit County Educational Service Center for that search, and that is moving along rapidly at this point. Fourth thing, I wanted to talk about levy a little bit, but I won't drone on because we talked about that quite a bit already. But as Chris said, this is the most affordable levy that this district has seen in the last 22 years. 3.9 mils for a $100,000 house, it's 38 cents a day. It's not going to get any cheaper than that. I have a lot of faith and confidence in this community. I said when we passed the bond issue that this community values education as long as they see a need and they see that it's affordable. And I think we have shown both of those measures tonight, and I have confidence that we're going to pass this levy. We need the additional revenue for our kids. It's that simple. One of the other things that we heard when we held our first levy meeting was people out there said that they're voting against levies because you needed a new leadership here at Springfield. Well, there's a new superintendent sitting here, at least temporarily, and you have 3 new board members as well. So there is new leadership. We have the need, and this levy is affordable, so please support us. May the 3rd, I believe, is the levy date. The recovery plan, we're implementing that. I talked about that a little bit earlier. The savings is over $1 million, 1.159 or something like that. It's not something that we enjoy doing. It's not something that we want to do. It's something that we have to do at this point, because if we don't do it, the state has told us we will go in fiscal emergency. And when you go in fiscal emergency, we've been there before, you lose local control. The state starts making decisions for you. I don't think that we want to do that again. That was a pledge that I made here when I left, that we would never go into fiscal emergency again. So let's hope that that does not happen. Finally, I want to talk a little bit about some athletic accomplishments that we've had in the district recently. Junior high wrestling, we have Tucker Chapman was the MAC runner-up in the 80-pound division. Skylar McLaughlin was the MAC heavyweight champion. Our junior high cheer team, they took 3rd place in the MAC competition and 1st place in the Ashland University competition. Our varsity cheer team were the MAC champs, and our varsity boys bowling team is also the MAC champs. So great job by some of our athletic teams this year. That's all I have, Mr. Petrie.
All right, thank you. Some items worthy of note. February 17th, Schropp Intermediate Conferences, 3 to 7 p.m. February 21st, President's Day, no school. February 24th, High School Junior High Conferences, 4 to 7 p.m. March 10th, Spring Hill Conferences, 4 to 8 p.m. March 11th, end of the 3rd quarter.
Wow.
March 15th, next regular Board of Education meeting, 6 p.m. at Schropp Intermediate School. March 17th, High School Junior High Conferences, 4 to 7 p.m. March 28th to April 1st is spring vacation.
One note on those conferences, I believe in the fall, conferences were done remotely. They will be in person.
Item 22, citizens' comments. These are more general comments than comments on the agenda items, so participants shall be limited to 5-minute durations. Seeing none, board members informal. Any board members have something they would care to share at this time for the good of the order?
Go ahead.
Tomorrow night, we have a tournament game at the high school for the girls' basketball. Friday night is senior night for our boys' basketball, our bowling, I believe, as well, and our cheerleaders. It's also youth night for our little mini cheerleaders, so that's, if you like the Super Bowl halftime show, this will probably completely dominate that. So I wouldn't want you to miss out. Talking levy, we had someone come in. We'll do whatever we can to bring as much as we can back. I think you've got people here that want to fight for our kids.
Yeah.
It's affordable, maybe not for all, but sadly, I don't think it should be based on what year you were born or what type of education you get. Hopefully we can get our parents and our residents out there to really support the kids that they need it. I mean, you hear our teachers are giving up 90 hours. I don't even know where they do it. I see these teachers are in the building all the time. I don't know where you get an extra 90 hours, but if you could let me know, maybe I could figure that out. But I believe they deserve it. We'll do whatever we can to make the district better from day one. So I promise you, fight for it. So that's all I have.
I'm going to tag on to what she said in that the reason that, the reason that I wanted to be here is to try to, whatever can be done to restore the quality, or I don't want to be negative. I mean, whatever can be done to improve and maintain what we have and to move in a positive direction, that's what I'm interested in. I truly believe this whole board is. I think that, I think that's our objective. And then can I throw one thing in that a community member gave, when we were working on one of the levy subcommittees, and by the way, anyone that has some time and wants to say, what can I do to help? There are a lot of things coming up that we need, more feet, more hands, more, you even need some stapling Wednesday night.
I need stapling Wednesday night. You
To
wanna
try
come
to
staple
do
and
one of the projects. But one of the community members brought this to us as we were working on a letter, and I wanted to share it because I thought it was a good way to look at something. He said that according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics Consumer Price Index, $1 in 2022, which is where we are, buys, because of inflation, the growth, it's worth 61.73% of what a dollar was worth the last time we passed the levy, or, the last time we had new money. So from 2000 to today, the school has been trying to operate on 61% of the funds. And, excuse me, we talk about, what old bills were and what something cost then and something, but I thought all of us who write the checks in our house or go to the store, we understand that. I thought it was a good statistic, and I wanted to share that. And then, if I could, one more thing, and I'll try to do this. In my education career, I have gone through more than one reduction in force. So I know the impact emotionally and on the family and everything else when you are told that, there is a reduction in force. So I know, so we understand that impact. And, I'm so sorry that we're in this position, but I pledge that, at least our efforts will try to remedy as much as we can. And I want to see those kids, particularly since I lived all those years at the high school, I want to see those kids back in more offerings. So eventually we'll do it, to answer that. All right, I'll shut up now. And I didn't cry, and I thought I would. What?
I have more of a question for Mrs. Ganser. I'm really intrigued by the leadership representative seats over here and the leadership in action table. Can you tell me a little about that?
Yeah.
We have every 2 weeks, throughout the entire school year, staff members give out students feed the locker tickets. And it's when we see students exhibiting those 7 behaviors that are behind you as habits, as well as our PBIS, safe, responsible, respectful, and kind. So when they get to feed the locker, we have this fancy locker over there, they put them in, and every 2 weeks we pull out 2 representatives from every grade. They get to sit at the leadership table, which is what you're seeing there.
Oh.
And not only do they get to sit at the leadership table for 2 weeks, but every day of those 2 weeks, they get to pick someone in their classroom who they feel has those leadership skills and being responsible and safe and respectful to sit with them. So
Very nice.
that is a very exciting thing for kids.
Great idea.
It's all
Yeah,
fancy
it's
and
awesome
flowers
idea.
and, yes. Thanks for asking.
Okay, anything else?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to tail back on what Mrs. Farola said about letting people go. I worked for a company that let go 575 people. So, for
We're not
different.
doing that here.
No, but I know where you're coming from, and I saw families destroyed. A little bit different scenario was corporate greed in that company. So I understand when people lose their jobs, and I saw people that, when they had an assembly job and they were making $13 an hour, that's what their talents allowed them to have. So when they lost that job, it was devastating on those families. I made a statement at PLCC last year when I was board president that we had to have a reduction in force last year, and I said, I'm tired of letting people go. It hurts.
Give you a copy of it.
You may not think it hurts by looking at me on the outside, but it's tearing us up on the inside. And I've been approached by people in the community, and I understand some of their concerns, and I think I understand their thoughts, but, you know, I struggled with reading as a kid. I really did. It's one of my goals when I retire to help kids. And if you have a good foundational basis in education, things in life go a lot easier for you. And that comes with a price tag, you know. And I think it's an affordable price tag. We can't keep doing the yo-yo cycle every 7.3 years. That's what it averages out, that we come up out of a fiscal crisis and then we go back into that. We can't continue to do that. I don't like letting people off. I don't like asking people for money. It's just my nature. But we need money to operate. And I agree with you.
Thank you.
So, on a lighter note, I have this announcement from Spectrum Channel, serving our communities. We'd like to inform people that we're a Spectrum Community Channel on 1023, serving the communities of Springfield and Lakemore. You can tune into the Community Channel on 1023 and find the days and times these programs run, or you can also see the schedule on the beautiful website, www.springfieldtownship.us. From their desk, they're running a Spectrum oldie but goodie of a Springfield High School program called Faculty Follies. Does that ring a bell? Number 11. We hope you enjoy. Stay tuned for future oldies and goodies on the channel. If you know of an activity or event in the Springfield or Lakemore communities and would like to have a nice show on the Spectrum 1023 channel, please reach out and contact our Spectrum channel representatives. Remember, this is your community channel. Let us know how we can best serve you. Scheduled programs coming up in the next month. Lakemore Council meeting, February 7th. Springfield High School Faculty Follies, number 11, part 1. I believe that's the same date, Frank. You didn't put a date there. Springfield Township Trustees meeting, a review of that will be January 20th, 22. PLC Board meeting of Education meeting, on a review of that one on also of January 20th. And Springfield Board of Education meetings on 1/11/22 and 1/25/22.
Were those dates in January or February?
Those
They
reviews
replay 'em.
in
Of
January.
the dates,
Yes.
the dates in January.
Yeah.
But what date are they gonna show?
Frank? What day are those gonna show?
They are currently playing, and if you listen to the announcement, it said you can go into your computer, bring up that Springfield Township, and it is currently there. And the backgrounds that you are seeing are photographs of like Springfield Lake, and those photographs were taken by a local resident that lives here and brought in and sent in to us. So those are things, the dates that Dave announced, that is the date the activity was recorded.
Gotcha.
Those are all currently playing now,
Okay.
okay?
That's our community news. Sorry for the miscommunication on that, but good point out.
All right, well, I was listening and I thought, well, we're out of January, so.
Thank goodness.
I kinda missed that.
It's planting season indoors.
Calendar too.
Okay, item 24, executive session. It is recommended that the Springfield Local School District Board of Education Board to recess into executive session for the purpose of considering an audit conference conducted by the auditor of the state independent certified public accountants with officials of the public office that is the subject of the audit, and 2, matters required to be kept confidential by federal law or regulations or state statutes pursuant to RC 121.22, D2, and G5, as well as applicable laws. Upon conclusion of this executive session, the board president shall gavel the board back into open session at this location. All matters discussed in this executive session are designated to the public officials and employees as confidential pursuant to RC 102.03B because of the status of the proceedings and/or the circumstances under which the information will be received, and preserving its confidentiality is necessary to the proper conduct of government business.
I'll make a motion.
Ken,
I'll second.
Miranda,
Ms. Terry?
Yes.
Mr. Ray?
Yes.
Mr. Hofer?
Yes.
Mrs. Frola?
Yes.
Mr. Petrie?
yes. We are in executive session and there will be no action after, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody, for
What's
being
her
here this
name?
evening.
I want to.